Hola, soy Elias Tona. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. Today we are here on location in Tampa, Florida at Black Diamond Strings with Black Diamond endorser Elias Tona. Hola, Elias.
Hola, mucho gusto. ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy bien, gracias.
Good job.
Thank you. I've gotten to know you a little bit over the last couple of months. We corresponded. We spoke a lot on the phone. Your Spanish is very good, by the way.
Thank you. It's the only thing that I can do better because my English is not good looking. But I'll try.
All right. Let's get back to the business at hand here. Tell us about your musical upbringing.
Yeah, well, the way that everything started for me with music was that I grew up listening to my dad. He was the only musician at church. By the time, drums and electric guitar were considered the devil instruments. But organ was accepted. So I grew up listening to his music. And he actually he was the first musician that influenced my ears. And I grew up listening a lot of gospel because sometimes he came here and he was a fan of some gospel musicians and he brought cassettes and tapes. And we had an organ in my house with a cassette player. So when I was a kid, I would come from school and mess around with those cassettes and try to catch up chords or licks or something like that, like kind of like an ear training, but just for fun. And then my mom, the person that actually is more responsible for me being a musician now, she was very serious into putting us in studying music when we were kids. I'm talking about me and my sister, my oldest sister. So I picked classical guitar, but then later, 5 years later, I was like, I don't see myself doing recitals. I see myself more like in a band or something. So I started to listen more like jazz, and I started to pay more attention of bass players like John Patitucci, Anthony Jackson, Jaco Pastorius, obviously, and that's when I started to see myself like doing music full time and start dreaming about being a musician and all that. So, but it started with my family, and that's a very deep root that connects me with music.
Well, Patitucci, Anthony Jackson, Jaco, the ones that you mentioned, are bass players, as we all know.
Right.
How did you make that transition from guitar to bass?
It was kind of one of those crises that you live as a teenager, because I was looking for what I'm gonna do with music if I can play with someone else, because I didn't see myself just playing classical guitar. I learned a lot from playing classical music. It gave me that discipline. It gave me that focus, the concept about composition, the concept about dynamics, interpretation. And actually, the first piece that I recorded in my album was Natalia, who is the piece of music that I wanted to play all my life when I was a kid. And when my teacher gave me the chart, that day I was so excited that I came to my house, and in 1 hour I had to memorize it. That waltz, and I was like killing it and I felt so happy. But after that it was like, okay, once that I accomplished my dream, what I'm gonna do, I want to do something else. So I started to play with a band in a church, playing bass because the bass player left, and it was kind of by an accident I started to play bass. But when I started to play bass and feeling that connection with the rhythm and harmony and playing melodic bass lines, I said to myself, this is what I want to do full time. I want to dedicate my time to play this instrument. So that was the transition. It was not kind of an accident, but it was a very cool accident that connected me with what I'm doing right now.
Right. Tell the folks here about your new record.
Well,
what's the title?
My new record is called Profile, and the concept is because it's my first album, I wanted to bring pieces of music that represent my musical influence. And some of these pieces, they were the door that opened for me a new path for jazz or for gospel or for classical music. Like this was Natalia from Antonio Lauro, who is one of the most important Venezuelan composers. And another one that is called Let the Praise Begin. The first time that I heard Fred Hammond, singing with this dark voice and playing bass, because he's also a bass player, I started to be more interested in gospel. And I had another piece from Jack Bassist, who is, a reference for every bass player.
Continuum, right?
3 Views of a Secret.
Oh, right.
One of my favorite compositions. Right. So I wanted to bring something that I love to play, and a collection of tunes that I can see my story. I can see myself in all these years getting deeper into music. So this is an only 6-string electric bass album where I'm doing everything in my instrument, only one instrument. It was a challenge. I didn't know how hard it was until I got into the studio. But once I finished, I said, yes, I made it, because I wanted to bring this sound to people that are not even musicians, that they can hear this and appreciate that instrument that sometimes they confuse with guitar, because sometimes people come to me and ask me, is that a guitar? No, it's a bass. So
it's a bass guitar.
It's a bass guitar. So now I can, give them my album and say, listen to this. This is the instrument that you've been feeling, but maybe you're not familiar with the sound.
The end product is great. Highly recommended. Profile. Tell me about your equipment.
Well, I use black diamond strings, and the ones that I use are the black coated nickel strings, and I don't use them only because of the color, because they're black, but they sound really good. They have a rounded sound that is not too bright, not too dark, and that's the kind of sound that I always look for in my instrument, not to be too deep and not too bright, but something that can cut in the middle. And I think that's a sound that I'm always trying to produce with my fingers. So I've been happy to use these strings, and I've been with these people 2 years, and I'm so glad to be part of a family of Black Diamond strings.
They are good people and make a great product. Yeah. How about your instruments?
For the recording, I use 6-string modulus. And now I'm also playing Mayona's bass, who was a very good discoverer in NAMM 2 years ago, because I was looking for an instrument that can give me that full sound of what I'm talking about, all the frequencies. And when I play Mayona's, I like the sound, but I also like the action and the way I can flow with my ideas in the instrument. So I'm now using Mayones, and I recommend it highly, because these people are making great instruments.
They are becoming more popular, Mayones. Last question, Elias. What would you be if you were not a bass player? Something outside of music.
I probably would be a teacher. That's what I feel good doing for people, serving people and helping people to get better.
Very inspirational words. Thank you. Elias Tona, it's great getting to know you.
Gracias, amigo.
And we enjoy your music very much, and we look forward to seeing and hearing lots more of you in the near and the not so near future.
Amen.
On location at Black Diamond Strings in Tampa, Florida, I'm John Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.